Good morning, everybody. Hello, hello. Welcome to our new series, 50 Blocks in 50 Weeks. My name is Bradie, and I'm really, really excited to start teaching you some brand new blocks. Are you excited? Awesome, good. Well, you can see the quilt behind me. This is the one that I stayed up really late last night piecing, and I'm not even lying this time. Sometimes I make that up. Last night I really did stay up late to piece this up just for this morning. So our block today is called Road to California, and it is this nice simple block that you see here in my quilt. I repeated the block 4 times, added some borders, and I thought I would bring out a little bit more color into the border, and so I added just a simple 4-patch as a cornerstone. What do you think? Do you like it? I have to tell you that I have been using these Painter's Palette by Paintbrush Studio, and Painter's Palette is a full line of solids. It's 159 colors, and they are lovely to work with. Sometimes solids feel maybe a little bit light, and these have a really nice hand to them. They have a really nice thickness that I really, really liked working with. So I'm excited to be sharing these with you. Now, if you're on our newsletter list, you've probably already received your pattern. And it's quite a lengthy pattern. As you look through it, you're probably going to think, boy, that's a lot for just a single block. But what I have done is gone on and included the pattern for this entire little table topper that you see on display here. So rather than just making yourself a single block and thinking, now what? Although I am going to be teaching you 50 different blocks, you could make a quilt with 50 different blocks. This way, each week, you could whip that into a small project if you choose, and then you're going to actually have a finished quilt, which we all know is a really good thing. Good morning, good morning. So what I did in here is I gave you the fabric requirements based on the exact fabrics that I used, and I even included the manufacturer's number for each color so that you could make it just like mine if you like. If you don't want to, that's fine too. I won't hold it against you. It's your quilt. You do what you want, but it's all in there. And then I also gave you the yardage requirements for that entire project. And again, the numbers are all there. What I do want to tell you is that the border fabric that I chose in the software was called Marine. And you can see it's that nice kind of tealy, bluey, green, beautiful color. Well, when I pulled Marine off the shelf, it wasn't that color. It's actually a little bit more navy-ish. So what I've used is a fabric called Poseidon. And my fabric number, if you want to jot it down on your pattern, the print number of this one, or the style number, would be 121-137. And that's in the Painter's Palette lineup of fabrics. All right, so let's get cutting this block out, shall we? The actual cutting instructions start on page 2. I've got diagrams there that tell you what to cut, and then on the next page, I've actually got text cutting instructions. I like diagrams, but I also really like text, so I wanted to include that for those of you who, you know, we all look at things differently. We all learn things differently, so I've got that there for you. What's that? And just so you know, guys, we do have the single block on the website as a purchase item, and I have the entire little table topper on the website as a purchase pattern. The block is called Road to California, and I called the entire quilt Road to Cali. I just got lazy in the typing, and I didn't want to type the Fornia. So I'm just going to scoot these fabrics off to the side, and then we'll get cutting out of our whites. That's the first one listed there. So Landon's going to share the link with you. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them. My daughter Landon is here. She reads the comments to me, and that way I will get the information during the video, and hopefully I can answer your questions right away. Now, as you may or may not know, we love, love, love to give away prizes while we do these videos. So I'm going to send one of you the block kit. Actually, you know what? Let's send the quilt kit. I'll send you the fabric to make this little quilt, okay? So what do you have to do to qualify to win that prize? You're going to share this video. Underneath the video, you see the option to like, comment, and share. just click share, and that will share with all your Facebook friends, and your quilty friends can join us in on the fun. Who doesn't like free patterns, right? It's a good thing. So my instructions are telling me out of my white fabric that I'm going to need a strip that is 4.5 inches, and then I'm going to need a second strip that's 4 7/8 inches. I'm going to cut the 4 7/8 first, and then I can trim it down to 4.5. Then I'm wasting a little bit less fabric. So whenever I see a unit that I'm cutting at 4 7/8, that's kind of an odd number, that tells me right away that I'm going to be cutting that into a triangle, or into a triangle. Triangles are always funny measurements. So that one strip of white will be enough to do, oh, actually, let's just keep that handy. At the end, I'm going to show you how to miniaturize this block as well. But we'll worry about that later. Let's get through the original block first. So right now I have 4 7/8. I'm going to turn that sideways, and I'm going to subcut 2 squares at 4 7/8. First, we'll trim off those salvages. For whatever reason, nobody loves salvage in their quilts. That's not true, actually. I see a lot of quilts with salvage in them, but it's usually planned that way. The finished size of the block is 12, like just 12.5 with its seam allowances. But in here it's 12 finished. Will all 50 be able to fit into a quilt? I'm trying to keep all 50 at 12 inches, and then I'm going to show you at the end of each show how you can adapt them down to a different size if you choose. But yes, just the base instructions will be for 12-inch blocks. Okay, so this one I've cut at 4 7/8 square, and then I'm going to cut that once on the diagonal, and that's going to give me 2 triangles. But I've got a double layer, so I'm going to have 4 triangles in total. All right, so there you can see I've got 4 of those. Now this piece is still 4 7/8 wide. I'm going to cut a 4.5 inch chunk, and then I'm going to trim down the other side to make that into a 4.5 inch square. Turn that, and then we can cut it once more down to 4.5. I really like to line it up with my cutting mat. It makes me feel like I've got it nice and square. Although holding my ruler over it would do that too, I guess. Just one of my funny little quirks. All right, so that's everything that we need for our white fabric. That piece I can set aside for later when I want to miniaturize. So there I've got 2 squares that are 4.5, and I took 2 squares that were 4 7/8 and cut them once on the diagonal. Now, I also have to tell you that we have done a short version of this tutorial. It is on YouTube, and it's called Road to California. And we do those videos under the name of Quilt Block Studio. So you can just look up Quilt Block Studio or go visit our YouTube channel, sparrowquiltco.com. Sparrow Quilt Co. The website's.com. And you can see that short and to the point tutorial there on YouTube. Now, if you've not yet gotten your pattern for this, you're going to visit us on the webpage, sparrowquiltco.com, and you'll be able to put in your name and email, and we'll send you the PDF by email. Now I'm into my light purple. This is called Sachet. And I need to cut 1 strip that's 4 7/8 of this one. So whenever I have to do a 4 7/8, I'll just go to the 5, and then I scoot over that single 1/8 of an inch. And then I know that I'm in the right place. All right, so we'll cut that strip. This bolt can get out of here. All right, so again, we're just going to rotate this sideways, and we're going to start cutting it now on the horizontal. Need a better angle there?
It just doesn't show very much.
Ah, okay. Is there a better place that I can be putting it on the mat?
No, you're good. It's just really close.
Okay. Lannon's just adjusting your viewpoint there.
I zoomed it on the one that you're on. They can't see this.
Oh, I see. Okay. So that strip is 4 7/8 wide. I'm going to cut some squares that are 4 7/8 tall. And then again, I'm going to cut that on the diagonal once to get my triangles. I am almost ready for a new mic, you guys, so I appreciate your letting me know that it's not behaving well. I can show you 7/8 on the ruler, sure. So on most quilting rulers, I just got to go behind so I can see what you see. Oh, I just can't see. Oh, there it is. Okay. All right. So on quilting rulers, you can see all the... Okay, you can see all the markings on a ruler, and on each number, it's broken down into an 1/8. So your little bit longer lines are your quarters, and those little shorter dashes, sorry, I'm trying to do this without too much reflection. That's the 1/8 right there, that first little dash. So we're going to count 1, 2, 3, 4 over, and then we're going to go at that last little dash right before the 5. I hope that helps, just seeing a little bit of a close-up there. Okay, so now I'm cutting into my grape fabric. Don't you love that color? I do. It reminds me of grape jam, grape jelly. Now don't forget to share this video, you guys. This is our first video doing this new series, and I'd love to give away the quilt kit to make this little project you see. You can literally make it in a couple of hours, you guys. It's so small and so simple and so quick. So my grape fabric, I'm cutting a strip that's 4.5 inches wide. So don't forget to use a horizontal line on your cutting ruler to make sure that you're cutting square. If you need to trim up your fabric before you cut, it's always a good idea. Oh. As soon as I go to cut, I shift it. There we go. So we'll put this grape away, and then we'll trim that down into squares. All right. Move up a bit. Closer to center there. Okay. Gotcha. Oh, might be your lucky day. It's always fun to win, isn't it? Okay. So this time I need 3 squares of the grape colored fabric. I'm going to cut 2 with my first cut. And then I'm just going to go ahead and cut a second one, so I'll have an extra square. It won't be the end of the world. All right. So we'll put one of those in the pile, and one of those goes in the scraps. All right. We're already done cutting. Can you believe it? It's that fast. Oh, Donna, I'm leaving for Houston on Friday afternoon. We'll be there Saturday and Sunday. Well, Friday night, Saturday, Sunday. We'll come home Monday afternoon. But I'm staying right across the street from the convention center, so I don't have to cab or Uber or nothing. And all the food's so good down there, we don't have to worry. Happy Halloween, yes. All right, so I'm just going to lay it out so you can see where all the pieces go. And you know what? You don't have to use grape and sachet if you don't want. You can use whatever colors you like. I tell you guys all the time, it's your quilt, do what you want. So make sure that you join our Sparrow Quilt Co. daily group on Facebook, because I want to see your blocks. I want to see your progress. And that way you can join the group there and share your fabrics and share your work, share your questions if you have any. So just so you know, look for that Sparrow Quilt Co. daily group on Facebook and join us there. It's a fun little quilting community. And like I said a few minutes ago, if you want to see the really quick version of this, check it out, Quilt Box Studio, Road to California on YouTube. Of course it would be. You know it, Jamie. We're all about using scraps around here, aren't we, guys? Okay, so now I'm just going to quickly set up my sewing machine. The first step to piecing this block together is piecing our triangles together. That is the most simple unit that we've got here, are the half square triangles. And then we're literally just going to put the block together. It's that fast and easy, and that's why you can put this together in no time at all. So give me a moment here to set up my little machine. So we're going to do 50 blocks in 50 weeks. And each week there will be a bonus pattern that you can put your blocks into. If you'd rather make a big quilt, then you can make all 50. And at the end, you can put your 50 together. Might end up being 49, 7 by 7 or something like that. But that's how we're going to do it. Let's get this on here. Oh, that's way too tall. That's the problem. That one little troublemaker foot.
Carol says the picture on the wall is actually 4 blocks.
Yes, with a border. Sorry, Carol asks, is the picture on the wall 4 blocks plus a border? Boy, I'm having trouble with this today. I think it's outsmarted me. Come on now. Okay, there we go. There's just little tiny spots that it has to fit right into. And there's no fooling around if it doesn't get right in there. Okay, so these little feet all adjust so that we can get our little table just right. Today I am sewing on the Eversewn Sparrow 30, and it is just a great little machine. If you're looking for something that is good for classes or lightweight, it's a 13-pound machine. I love it. So each week we're going to do a single block, and then each week there will be a bonus pattern that you can put that block into a smaller quilt. You can also save up your 50 blocks and put them all into one big one at the end if you prefer. It's totally up to you, but all 50 blocks will be different. Now, have you got that banner set up on the website yet? Have you got the sign up set up on the website now? Okay, so if you're not on our newsletter list, then you need to visit us at sparrowquiltco.com, and you're going to put your name and email into the little form there. You're going to look for the 50 blocks in 50 weeks banner, put in your name and email, and then we will send you an email with the PDF pattern attached, okay? So our step 1 in piecing this guy is going to be putting together these half square triangles. So I've chosen the light purple triangle with a white triangle, and I'm just going to join all 4 of those together. And before you know it, we're going to have a block here. What's that? Oh, thank you, Debbie. I'm glad you like it. You bet. So just a reminder to share the video. Underneath you see the options to like, comment, or share. And everybody who comes back and tells me that they've shared is going to qualify for a giveaway. I'm going to give away a little kit to make this quilt you see behind me. And I'll send you the Poseidon colored fabric, not the marine that we mentioned in the pattern. So I was telling everybody earlier that when I chose that fabric in the software, when I looked at it on the shelf, it was not the same color that I saw in my picture. So I chose a different one that looked a little closer to the picture, and it's called Poseidon. In your pattern, you'll see that I tell you to use a fabric called marine. Your kit will contain Poseidon. So it'll be just like mine. Right? You want to get exactly what you see, don't you? I do. Okay, so I'm on to my fourth little triangle here already. I'm just going to zip up the one side of it and get it pieced together. We need these triangles, half square triangles, to finish at 4.5 inches. So I always like to just double check and make sure that they are the right size. Because if I need to trim it or square it, then I want to do that before I add it to another piece of fabric. Now it's time to plug in my iron. You guys, Landon has candy. Do you guys want some candy? Landon's got lots. Meanie, meanie. It is so easy, this block. Super easy. I love it. Okay, so this is my Easy Press pen. It's got like a starch type fluid inside of it. I'm going to run it along my seam. And I was thinking about it last night. What this does is it makes pressing easy. Sometimes I feel like I press and press and it just isn't getting flat. This makes everything flat. And I don't even necessarily need my iron. How's their view here? Can they see what I'm doing? Okay, so we'll displace those just a little bit. So it has kind of a spring tip if I can push down on it, and that will make more liquid come out. I don't want a lot of liquid. I just want a little bit. But I'm going to just show you here how even just using that alone is so flat. If I do the same thing without the starch or without pressing, it just doesn't have the same effect. Do you see what I mean? So let's do that again, but this time with the pen. And I'm just running it right along the stitches. Sometimes I just do it right beside the stitches, but right on the stitches is probably best. And it's flat as can be. Now, when we do the miniaturized block later, we'll see why it's so important to make sure you get every thread worth of width. When those blocks get really small, if you start losing a little bit of accuracy, it just adds up really fast. So we want our blocks to be as accurate as possible. When I finished my blocks last night, I didn't even have to square them because they were right bang on, which made me happy, saving myself a step. So my little half square triangles here are 4.5. 4.5. Just a sec. Yep. We're bang on here. 4.5 across the board. That's perfect. Victoria, yes, my pen is refillable. So I sell the little kit on the website. It includes this seam-align glue, which I'll show you here in a moment. It's a glue and then pressing fluid package. And they both come with a 4-ounce refill. So you get 4 ounces of starch refill and 4 ounces of glue refill. So now we're ready to kind of put this baby together. Just put my bones in place. And now these little half square triangles are just going to fit right in here. Now, I didn't press those, and I use that Easy Press solution, but when I do press them, they will be so crisp and flat. It's just a beautiful, beautiful thing. So now I'm going to sew this together in a row, 3 different rows, and then I'll just join those 3 rows together, and that easy, I'm going to have a quilt block. But I'm just going to quickly show you how this seam-align glue works. It's got this, they've got double screen. Oh, it's got this really nice applicator tip. It's a tube, so then the glue just comes right out in that little tube. If you find that it gets plugged up with glue from your prior use, just plug a pin in there and that will free it. It will clear the path for you to start using it again. So when I apply this glue, I do it along the outer edge of the fabric, and I'm just going to place a small dot along the width of that piece. Now, I gotta be honest, this isn't really where I would typically use this because I don't really need a pin for this. The glue just replaces our pins. But if I was, say, on my way to retreat this weekend and I wanted to have a bunch of stuff that I could just walk in the door, set up, and just start sewing, you could prepare your piecing like this, and then you don't need to use pins, and everything is already lined up, square, and ready to sew. So it does have its advantages in that way. And I put it outside where my stitching line is going to be so that I'm not actually stitching over the glue. And I won't need a lot for this particular type of application. If I was lining up a seam intersection, I would probably apply a little bit more to make sure things really stay in place. Okay. And then I'm just going to line up my corners of my block and smooth along that edge. Now that will stay in place like that, but if I set it with the iron, it like instantly seals it and it makes that glue really, really stick rather than kind of waiting for it to dry type of thing. So now I can just go ahead and stitch this, and everything's going to stay together exactly as if I had pinned it. Now, Stephanie has asked what type of iron I use. Usually on the show here, I've got this little travel iron, and I can't get this one anymore, so I've got a different one on the website, but I do have a little tiny iron like that on the website. Because I'm limited on space here, that's why I like this one. I also really like the Oliso irons with the automatic lift. Those are pretty awesome as well. A lot less strain on your wrist when you're having to lift that heavy thing. So I'm just going to continue piecing these rows together, and then I'll put everything back and add the next block to each row. There we go. Last row.
The bottom left cornerstone is turned wrong.
It is. Yes. My cornerstone is turned wrong. I laid it out last night. I saw it and I thought, she's staying like that. It was about 20 after 12 and I just was done. I was done for the night. That's my humility block right there. That's my, oops, I'm a human and I'm okay with that. I'm not perfect. I don't expect my quilts to be perfect. I don't expect your quilts to be perfect. You know, if I was quilting for the big quilt shows or something, that would be a different story, but that's not how I roll, so my quilts are human. Okay, so I like to put everything back before I go on to the next step. That way I make sure that I am on track and things are all looking good there. So let's go ahead and add the third block in each row. And of course, you guys, I am using a 1/4 inch seam. The finished block is 12 inches, so with its seam allowance, it's 12.5. When I'm done this one, it will be 12.5. Now, if you're familiar with the guidelines rulers, which I've been using in the past to do a prior sampler type series, I'm going to use that after this and show you how we can miniaturize this block. Without any math or headache. So what I like to do when I've got the rows put together is I'm going to alternate the direction of pressing so that one row goes this way, the next row goes that way. And when I join them, they just nest together really, really nicely, which gives me really good results. No bulk in my seams. less bulk in my seams. So I'll show you the direction of piecing here. There's our top row, middle, and bottom. So
the picture on the back of the pattern, is that 4 blocks of the 50, or is that 1 block and there will be 49 others?
So, Carol, in regards to your question, this is the first block of 50. Next week, it will be a totally different block and a totally different bonus pattern along with it. So this is just block 1, not 1 through 4. Yeah, block 1 repeated 4 times. Okay, so this row up here, I want to press this towards the purple. So let's do that. I just decided not to. So Leslie, your question about the guidelines rulers, I just want to be a bit more versatile on kind of a general scale, and then I'm going to show you the guidelines at the end so that you could make modifications if you wanted to. Now this row is all pointing that way, all my seams. This row, I'm going to point them all that way. Stay. Just flatten and stay. So how many of you are going to be in Houston this weekend? It's mostly only shop owners, so I don't expect many of you will be. Probably most of you will be there next week for festival. I alternate my seams because it makes it easier to join those intersections. It reduces the bulk that's in the seam. I'm not marking anything. Okay, let's talk about this pen. Let's talk about the pen. Give me just a second. All right, my quilty little darlings. Okay, so these items together is called the Acorn Precision Piecing System. This is the glue that I showed you a moment ago, and I can use it along the edges to glue my pieces together instead of using pins, and it's pretty awesome. I love sewing over pins. Doesn't matter to me, but this has been really nice because it reduces the bulk from when you use pins. Now, the second part to the Acorn Precision Piecing System is this handy little pen. It's called the Easy Press pen, and I refill it with a starch-type liquid. And what it does is it just makes pressing easy. You can see there how flat those seams are laying. I've not put any heat or iron on any of those seams, and look at them. They're just laying there behaving themselves. So I really like this pen and glue system. Keep it simple. So I'm just going to give them a quick little press, and then they'll just get nice and crisp. Oh, thank you. I did check the weather forecast for Houston. It says about 23 degrees and sunshine. And that's better than the rain that was on other side of my 2 days that I'm there. So, and you know what? It is fall here. Like, I'm surprised there's not snow on the ground yet. Being Halloween will probably, well, it's supposed to rain tonight, but not snow. We got cold weather. We're from like north up in Canada. All right. Did that address everybody's questions about the pens? Does that make sense, everybody? I hope so. So now I have to join my rows together. And what I'm going to do for this part is use my fork pins. You guys know how much I love my fork pins. Not if you're new to the show. So if you're new to the show, I have fork pins. They're a product made by Clover, and it is like a U-shaped pin. Can I see it? Just in case you're not familiar with fork pins. But it's just going to pin on either side of the intersection. And because I alternated one seam this way and one seam that way, when they meet in the middle of that intersection, it's just going to be a cute little kiss right in the middle. They'll meet each other. My pin will hold everything together, and I'm going to get perfectly lined up seams. Now, you guys, don't forget to share this video, okay? I want to give one of you a quilt kit. It is the quilt that you see on display behind me, which is what I'm working on at the moment. Fork pins are life. Yeah, they are. Cork pins are life. So like I said, I'm just lining up my intersecting seams inside my piecing there. The purple is touching the white. They're just touching inside. And then I just pin on either side of this intersection, and I'll get a perfectly lined up seam. But what I was talking about, do you see what the pin does to the fabric? Like you can see how you get that little lump in there. So you can see why having the glue instead of the pin might be beneficial. It's easier to smooth it through the machine. But I find for something like this that the pin just holds it a little bit better. I had a couple of glue instances where it slipped just a hair. Not even a lot, just a hair. But I'm fussy. I'm fussy, and that's why I'm going to leave my 4-patch wrong. Makes sense? No, it's not supposed to. Okay. So for those of you that are concerned, don't worry. I slow right down when I get near those pins, and I just kind of walk over them. I don't sew full speed over pins. And because of that thickness with the pin, I just have to kind of help ease it through a little bit. Yeah, Roxanne. I like the purple too. Marianne, that's funny. Okay. I have never been to Paducah, but one of these days I might go. Yeah. That's where the National Quilt Museum is. And every year there's there used to be a big contest, and each year a quilt would win $100,000. And then it lived in the National Quilt Museum. They're like, look, we're giving you a big old prize. Give us that quilt. It's mine now. So you can see if I just flip that open with no other interference, it doesn't really lay flat. I can kind of try and press it. I can even use my fingernails and give it a little bit more flattening, but it's not flat. If we do this little trick with our easy press pen, and like I said, I'm not applying a lot. I just want to put enough there to just lightly dampen the fabric. And don't worry, I've never seen any discoloration or any ill effects from using this pen. Now when I open it up, it's just flat. It's just flat. It's so beautiful and flat. No, the whole quilt will not be in purple. I've got 159 colors to work with, Sharon. I got to spread it around a little bit more.
Debbie says, Halloween joke for you all. What do ghosts eat for breakfast?
What do ghosts eat for breakfast? Tell us. We inquiring minds need to know. Okay, so again, I'm ready to add another row. This top row of seams is pointing this way. My bottom row of seams is pointing that way. And that's just going to make for a beautiful, nice intersection. Blueberries is Landon's guess.
I thought you were saying that was the answer. I was like, no, it isn't.
It's Landon's guess. Blueberries. My kids asked me who I was being for Halloween. I said, Bradie Sparrow.
Like,
Tricky, tricky me. All right. We're waiting for the answer.
Debbie.
We need to know what they have for breakfast. All right, so this is the last seam of our block.
Sharon wants to know if this is cotton fabric.
Oh, Sharon, yes, the fabric is cotton. It is called Painter's Palette Solids by Paintbrush Studio, and it is just lovely. I'm really enjoying working with it. I was looking at the solids last night, and I was trying to think of like the word for how they look, because they're not like flat. Like this Poseidon border, it almost has like a vibrancy to it that I can't really explain. They kind of catch the light and reflect it or something. They're just really nice fabrics. I'm impressed. Not that I ever hold anything against any fabric. All right, so let's finish off this last seam and then we'll have a look at my cutie little Road to California block. What did you think, guys? Wasn't that fast and easy? Didn't take long at all, did it? What time did we start? Before 11? We started at 11. All right, there she is. There is my Road to California block. The block is 12 and a half. Bang on. Look at that. Oh, my threads are sticking out. That makes it bigger. Just kidding. So these blocks finished are 12 inches. You can see before they're all pieced together, they are 12 and a half. Very pleased with how well that turned out. Not bad, right? So earlier, someone had asked about the guidelines rulers. Now, those are a pretty cool ruler system that we like to use here. So I'll just take this chance to kind of introduce you to the guidelines rulers and explain how they work. This is the basic starting point for the guidelines rulers. It's a 6x12 ruler, and it's got this slider on the back. And I can just adjust that to any width across the entire 6 inches. And that acts as a little barrier on the underside. So when I lay my fabric here, this butts up against the fabric, and I can't displace the ruler. Like, it locks in place almost over that fabric. It also has a non-slip edge built into it, and it also comes with a finger guard that normally sits here. I've removed that for my video today because I have something else that I'm using instead. I've added this little handle onto it because I really like being able to just pick up my ruler. I don't like having to pry the edge. Sometimes my big fingernails don't quite reach under there, and I just find that the handle really helps me move a little bit faster. So there is this cool little add-on that you can attach to the guidelines rulers. And what this is a seam allowance add-on. So if I am looking at this particular block and I just want to try and make it myself, I don't have a pattern. I don't know where to get the pattern. I'm just going to try and copy the block that I see. Because this block is 12 inches, each column of the block is 4 inches, right? Because there's 3 columns. 4 plus 4 plus 4 equals 12. Make sense? Everybody with me? So what if I wanted to make this block into a finished size of 3 inches? What if I wanted to totally miniaturize this block? Landon says, because you are a crazy person. But I just want to show you a really extreme example, right? So to make this block into a 3-inch block, each column would have to be 1 inch, right? But now I have to think about my seam allowance. So I'm going to set my slider on here at 1 inch. Do you see it there? My yellow slider is at the 1 inch marking. And then I'm going to add on the square seam allowance ruler. Now this one isn't challenging, I have to admit. It's 1/2 inch that I'm adding. So if I'm cutting a strip that I want to finish at 1, I need to add a 1/2 inch seam allowance. And I'm going to do that just by tucking that on there and locking those levers in place. But do you remember earlier when we talked about triangles and how if you're cutting something that's 7/8, it's almost always going to be cut into a triangle? Well, this makes it a lot easier because we don't have to think about the 7/8 or what the seam allowance should be. For some reason, that doesn't stick in my head like the 1/2 inch does for squares. So if we're going to cut half square triangles, we need a seam allowance of 0.854. I made up for it with the 7/8, but that's not exact math there. This is. So I'm going to put this on here, and I'm going to cut my squares at 1 inch plus the half square triangle seam allowance. And then when I piece it all together, I'm going to get a 1 inch finished square. Let me show you how this all works, okay? Let's scoot this over again. So I have a little bit more room for cutting. And then we will cut out a miniaturized block. So in case you've just joined us, this is a Road to California block that we are doing today. It is block 1 of 50. We are going to do 50 blocks over the next 50 weeks. I'm also including a bonus pattern with the block so that you could make more blocks and create an actual table topper. Next week, we'll do block 2, and I'll include a different pattern for you to make that block into, okay? In order to get that, you're going to visit us at sparrowquiltco.com. You need to look for the banner, and I'll show you what it looks like. This banner right here, 50 blocks in 50 weeks. Hold it up there. And you're going to put in your name and email address. We will email you the pattern, okay? Now, we also love to give away prizes in these videos, so if you would do me a favor and share this video, then please come back and tell me that you've shared. And at the end of the show, I'm going to select a winner who's going to win a quilt kit just like this, okay? Sound good? I'm going to make my miniaturized block in different colors. I'm still going to use white, so let's cut that first. Oh, you know what? I've got a chunk of white here that I'm going to use. So for whites, we need 2 squares, and we need 2 squares that are going to become triangles. And I said I was going to cut those at 1 inch, but I should always cut my triangles first because they're bigger, and then we can trim them down to be what we need for squares, okay? So I'm going to look for my Guidelines Ruler add-on, the finished size quilting add-on. I'm looking for the one that's labeled H for half square triangle, and the seam allowance is 0.854 on this one. I'm going to attach this to the ruler and lock it in place patiently and slowly so I don't break anything. There you go, Bradie. Patience, patience. Lock those little suction cups on. So I've got my ruler set at 1, and then my seam allowance add-on is attached. So I am cutting a strip that is 1.854. Have you ever cut that before? Probably not. And I'm going to have to scoot up a little bit. But what's good is my slider, my yellow slider underneath, keeps me lined right up to my fabric. There we go. So now from there, I'm going to need 2 squares. And then I'm going to cut them once on the diagonal to turn them into triangles. I'm excited, actually. Landon says, this is going to be the cutest little block ever. Aww. She might still play in secret just for fun. Although she's not a too cool for anything kind of girl. Okay. So there's my tiny little squares. I'm going to turn them on the diagonal, and I'm going to cut it once to get myself a couple of triangles per square. This is going to give me 4 in total. All right? There they are. Itty bitty little squares. Now what I need are the 1.5 inch squares. So I got to take off my triangle add-on, and I'm going to put on my square add-on. Actually sew it? Yeah. Sure. It won't even take up 1 square. It'll be that little. Okay, so I know that my strip is extra wide. I'm going to cut it the right width here, and then I'll go back and trim it again so I can get it down to the size I need. So we'll just rotate that. Oh, messed up my layers a little bit.
I asked if they would make such a tiny block. Yeah. Heather says probably. I like doing weird things periodically.
Heather just called me weird.
Yeah. Debbie says yes if I wanted to do a cornerstone.
That's right, Debbie. All right. Okay, so next, let's choose another color. Scoot this out of here. Can they see that up there or no? Not really?
You'll want where the top of your guidelines are.
Okay, I'll put those there for a moment. Put this up here for a moment. I just need space to cut fabric. The big old bolt. Okay, so this light gray is going to replace my light lavender or my sachet colored.
No, I said I was weird.
Don't worry, Heather. I'm not offended.
That's not the right color.
Not the right color?
That's gray.
I'm doing grays
Oh,
for my miniature block.
I was like, that's not the normal color.
Landon's like, stop!
I'm not sure what you're. I thought for a second I was seeing colors instead of purple.
What the? So I can also use the guidelines rulers. I can join them together to make a longer length. There's these cool joining connector rulers, and you can see it's got a handle on it as well. So what I need to do, it's really cool, is because they come with all these little notches in them, and they all just fit together pretty slick. But give me a moment here. Get this guy out the way first. Thank you, Cheryl. I'm glad you appreciate it. It's a lot of fun for me, too. Thanks, Maddie boy. Maddie's taking care of his mommy and daddy this morning.
People ask, why don't you just take 2 squares and sew them over the corner with a 1/4 inch seam instead of doing?
You could absolutely take 2 squares and sew them that way. It's a bit more time consuming in my opinion. And I've just gotten a lot more brave with triangles. I never ever used to stitch with triangles, ever. But I just find it so labor intensive to do it in that manner. You have to do the marking on the back side, and then you got to trim them apart, and you got to press them open, and then you have to trim every single one down to the proper width because they're never bang on. Never. They're always generous. So while I do like that method because it's bang on in the end, I just find it so time consuming. And I am the mother of 10 children, and I run this business and I do these videos, and I just don't have time for fooling around. I need things that are lickety split. So that's why I've gone away from that method, although I have done it lots in the past. Holy moly, girl, I can talk a lot, hey? So I'm going to cut a 2.5 inch strip off of this bolt. So I've got my slider set at the 2.5, and I'm just going to butt it right up against this raw edge of the fabric. I don't even need it that wide. Why am I going that wide? I really only need, I better go 2 just to be safe. Do you see how I walked my hand along there? I literally didn't even have to because the ruler does not budge. With this non-slip thing on the underside of it, it doesn't move. But that's my habit from using my other rulers, is to walk my hand along. Okay, this gray can go. Oh, I'm not patient. I'm really good at looking patient on here, but you'll notice that none of my children are here. No, the oldest one is. Okay, so now we are cutting more of these little guys. So I need my ruler to be at, that's so sweet. Thank you. I'm really glad you find it encouraging because that's my whole goal, is to help you use up your fabrics that you already own. Sure, I know sometimes you got to buy more. I get it. Believe me, I get it. But that's why I started all these videos, is just to help people use up the stash that they have on hand. You could do this completely scrappy. Completely scrappy. You don't even have to use grape or sachet or white. Use whatever you want. It's your quilt. And you could make a ton of these blocks and make a great quilt.
Stephanie would like to mention that you should not forget to mention that you have a section of add-ons if you already have a ruler.
Yes, thank you for that. So Stephanie's just reminding me there that you do not have to buy these rulers in order to add the add-ons on. we have these with just suction cups so that you can add it to your regular 6x12 ruler that you already have at home. So that saves you a little bit of money because you don't have to buy the base piece. I decided to cut this fabric before I separate my rulers. That way I'm just being a touch more efficient. I'm telling myself I'm being more efficient. So out of this dark gray, I really only need these corner fabrics. So I can cut this at 1.5 inches wide. So I'm just going to move my sliders over to 1.5. 1.5, and then it just pops into place. It moves quite easily. I like that about it. Like I said, I like it easy. Fast and easy, baby. Get in there. Okay. Sorry, it wasn't fighting with me. I'm just very stern. The children. You just got to tell them once in a stern way if you want them to get it done now. All right, 1.5, right? What are these? Yes, 1.5. Cutting a whole strip here for 3 little squares. All right, let's get this out of the way. What do you guys think of my wall of solids behind me? Isn't that a great background? I'm sure liking it. Okay, so now I'm going to separate the 2 rulers from one another, and I just have to slide it a little bit. There we go. This one can go here. Now I need to add on, let's do our half square triangles first. Let's get this out of the way. So I am going to put back on my half square triangle finish size add-on ruler. It has the H and the seam allowance is 0.854. I'm just going to put it on the lowest number edge of my ruler. Oh, that's what I was going to tell you guys about. So you know how I had them joined end to end like this? You can also join them side by each and create a 12x12 ruler. Or you could keep them like that, get yet a third, and put it over there as well. These rulers are really, really versatile because they're modular and everything just fits together. It's pretty slick. Some smarties came up with this one. Okay, I'm just going to double check that my yellow, Okay, I'm scared that's not wide enough. Yeah, we're good. Okay. I shifted it or something after I cut. So my width should be at 1. And I've added my seam allowance with my little ruler. I'll remove my selvage and then I will cut 2 squares. And then those squares will become triangles. That seems extra wide.
Stephanie says the squash rotary cutter is so smooth.
Isn't it? I like mine too, Stephanie.
Join us if you could just send me a yard of each color.
Well, I want to send someone this little quilt kit that you see on display behind me, so make sure you share the video, and then make sure you come back and tell me that you've shared so that I know who you are. If you have a private Facebook profile, then I can't see if you share it, so you got to come back and tell me, okay? All right, so these are going to replace my purple. Now let's cut this dark gray for the grape-colored squares. That's going to replace those. This entire block isn't going to be as big as even one purple square. It's just going to be a tiny little guy. Now I'm back to cutting squares again, so I have to take off my triangle, and I'm going to put on my square. Put it in place and just turn those levers. Press down on those guys. And my big fat fingers moved my yellow thing again, so let's fix that. All right, we're almost done the cutting. Then I'll put this little guy together. I need 3 of these in total, so there's 2. And here's 2 more. I got double layer of fabric here. I'm cutting 2 at once. Okay, so I need one of those. The rest of this can go over here. Now let's lay it out and see how it looks. These are going to go through the center. Oh, she's little. And these are going to go out here. It's starting to look a bit like a 9 patch, isn't it? And then we're going to put these little farmers right in here. And this too. And then we'll put these little triangles in to finish off those squares. I almost need tweezers for this, it's so little. Not really, I'm just being dramatic. There we go. Oh gosh, it's a mess. How's it look? All right. Yes, extreme example. I just wanted to show you, see, we could go the other way. If you had these suction cup version, you could put it on a 20-inch wide ruler. Like you could put it on whatever you saw, whatever size you want. You could, like, the options are unlimited. Unlimited. We could do all kinds of crazy stuff. Matt's planning to do each block, but like supersized rather than miniaturized. So I think that's kind of cool. Do you guys have time to stick around while I piece this? Yay or nay? Let's do it. I think Landon likes my little block. Okay, let's do it. So what I find, to be very perfectly honest, when I'm piecing on such a small scale, the lining up is so important. And making sure that you are staying square and that your seam allowance is staying bang on. No, orange. Yeah. It's a peanut butter pumpkin. I'm going to save it for a couple minutes because I probably won't talk very well with peanut butter in my mouth. So I'm being very delicate with these little triangles. And I'm just starting really slow. And I don't speed so when I'm doing tiny piecing because it's easy for it to get out of control on you. And I'll even use like a pin. I actually usually have what's called an awl. It's like a long, slender metal, just tip, kind of like a screwdriver, but with a pointy tip. And it just helps me control the fabric as the fabric goes under the feed dogs. You've probably noticed in the past that sometimes the feed dogs will make your fabric go back and forth like this, especially near the end with a triangle. So that's why I'm going to use my pin to keep myself on track. And the pin can kind of sneak under the presser foot too, which I don't let the needle come down on it, but it helps keep it straight as it's going under. Okay. Landon's working on fixing up the quality for you there, my quilty darlings. So hopefully that'll look better in a minute here. These are little. All right. Oh, okay. Gotcha. Okay. Hopefully that has got us back in better shape now. Good, good, good. So just like I did with the large block, I'm piecing all my half square triangles together first. Then I will put it all together into one little block. This is probably one of your last chances to share here, guys. So make sure that you share and then come back and tell me that you've shared because I want to give you a quilt kit. the quilt you see hanging behind me. Hopefully you've already gotten your pattern. If you're already on the newsletter list, you got it this morning. If not, then visit us at sparrowquiltco.com. Good. And you can go download the pattern. I know I had little scissors here, you guys. Who took my scissors? Ooh, a block challenge. That's cool. Okay. Yes, the awl. Yeah. Do I need to say that again, or are you just asking for your own? Oh, okay. So to stitch the blocks together, it's called an awl, or just anything with a fine point. I'll use my seam ripper. I'll use a pair of scissors, just anything with a fine tip that can keep the fabric square to the presser foot. Okay. So I'm going to press all of these towards that gray fabric. Really quick. Oh, these are mini, mini, mini. So my squares should measure 1.5 inches square. And I'll check that in just a second here. But this is the great thing about the guidelines rulers, is that I don't have to question if it's going to be the right size. It just always is. And I don't have to trim it down later. It just always is. And I like that. All right. I've got 1.5 inch squares, guys. 1.5. Can they see that close? Right there?
Oh, no.
Okay. There is my 1.5 inch square. Those are bang on. I did not have to trim them after the fact. They just are. Okay. And that is a good thing. So let's put them all back in place so we can make no mistakes. Let's tuck those in there. Shall we put it all together? Let's do it, do it, do it. Are you picking a winner for me? So what did you think, guys? Did you enjoy this block 1 of 50? Pretty easy, isn't it? Someone on YouTube asked this morning if we were going to do the 50 states. She thought that California meant we were going to do 50 states, which was a pretty neat idea, but I'm Canadian. So we just got lucky with California. It just seemed like a warm, sunny destination. Although I'm on my way to Houston, so don't feel bad for me. I believe you, Mary. I did some strip piecing in 1.5 inch strips, you know, a honey bun from Moda, and it just took a little too long for my liking. All right. Gosh, these are teeny tiny. Oh, Gail, I'm excited that you said that about your purple thing. I just ordered some of those. A very good friend of mine says that she loves hers, so I thought, well, I must be missing out on something. So I've got some.
So cute.
What's that?
Oh, so cute.
Aw, thanks, Elaine. It's a cutie. But I'm glad I'm not doing the whole quilt in these. I'm not going to lie. Okay, so that one goes there. And remember to alternate your direction of pressing when you're putting your block together. Tuck that one in there. And this one goes this way.
How big is the final block when you use this one?
It should be 3.5 inches. The finished block for these little tiny squares, my finished block should be 3.5. We'll see in a second here, won't we? The proof will be in the pudding. So now I'm just going to attach that last itty bitty little piece in each row, and then we'll join our rows together. This time though, I'm going to try using the seam-align glue instead of my pins. I find when the piecing is miniaturized, the pins really seem to accentuate the bulk. Yeah. So I'm going to try the glue for this one. Now, just a reminder, you guys. What's gone wrong here? This goes here. Where's Laura? Did we forget to tell Laura? She was here. Oh, maybe it's lunchtime. Ah, good. Don't forget, you guys, to join the Sparrow Quilt Co. Daily group. You were laughing. What were you going to say? Laura, you see how much you're needed here? It is a new challenge, though, you know? And I'm just going to do one, and it was fun. And then I don't need another one. I'll just put it on my bulletin board and say, look what I can do. All right. Let's trim up these little farmers. Whose pup were you chasing, Laura? Yours or the hubby's? It's like some days the children are mine and some days the children are Matt's. That's right. So this one I need to do this way, right? Yep. Okay. People are recommending this to be a mug rug. To be a mug rug, nice. I might have to put a teeny tiny border on it. She says my husband, my dog. Joyce Hobbs, first time watching. Welcome, Joyce. Yeah, we have a couple of more Joyces, so you're in good company. All right, I'm just going to give these a quick little press, and then we'll join the 3 rows together. And then we'll announce a winner, too. If you've joined us a little bit late, don't worry. You can easily get this pattern. This is going to be ongoing for weeks and weeks, okay? We're doing 50 blocks in 50 weeks. This is block number 1. It is the Road to California block, and I've repeated it 4 times to create this little table topper that you see behind me. The table topper pattern is included this week with your block download as well. Okay. It makes sense. It would be good to just have it all streamlined and ready. Okay, so let's try our seam-align glue for this and see how well we can line up our seams. So I'm going to put a little dab of glue here and a little here. And I'm going to do the same thing at this intersection as well. And note that it's in the 1/4 inch. It's not going to be below my stitching line. It's going to be above my stitching line. And in theory, my needle won't even touch the glue. So this seam allowance is pushed to the left, and this seam allowance underneath is pushed to the right. So when I put these on top of each other, the bulk will be evenly distributed on either side of the seam. I'm going to snip this little guy. It's not something that I normally do, but I think that'll give me a little bit of a better viewpoint. You guys that have been watching for a while, you know I don't normally trim those dog ears, but why not? Hope my big fat head's not in the way. Line up that seam there. That looks really good. And now I'm going to line up the next one, and I'm just going to press it in place with my fingers, and then I'll take it over, and I'm going to seal the glue with the heat of my iron. It just kind of sets it. All right, let's piece that now and see how it goes.
Joan wants to know if this is her first time watching and how big are the squares you are making.
Hi, Joan. Welcome to the show. The squares that I'm making right now are 3.5. It's going to be a 3.5 inch. The block will be 3.5 inches finished. The big block that I made a few moments ago was 12.5. So finished in the quilt, they'll be 3 inches and 12 inches. All right, I'm really being careful about my seam allowance here, and I'm holding my piece really square to the presser foot as well. I don't want any funny angles that are going to take up a bit more room than they should. Okay, let's see how well my glue served me in there. Are my points lined up? Perfect. So you can see there, hopefully you can see how my intersection lined up really nice. That glue just brought those points together really well. Hopefully you can see that. I'm just going to join one more row on here. But I better press this little honey first. Something smells so good in the shop here. I'm like starving half to death over here. Good thing I got chocolate. Okay, let's press this little honey. Oh, you're such a little cutie. All right. So we got one more row to pop on there. It's going to go right there. And we are going to pin this time because it's fast. Oh gosh, there we go. I always keep the fork pins in a container because they're so sharp. Have you... Just getting hungry up in here.
Can you remove once glued if perchance you did it wrong?
You betcha you can remove the glue. Yep. It's not like a super strong glue. It will hold it under your presser feet, but it can easily separate. All right, come on out of there. Yeah, the fork pins are so darn sharp. I always keep them in a container. Plus, if you step on them on the floor, they pop up because of that little angle. You don't want to step on a fork pin. Take my word for it. All right, this is the last seam of this little teeny tiny block, and then we will have a winner for you. Are you all ready to be a winner? You're all winners anyways. Now, as you can see, this tutorial took, an hour or so. We usually go for about 90 minutes. But if you just want the fast and dirty version, you're going to visit us at YouTube. You're going to look for Quilt Block Studio and just look for the Road to California block. That's what this one is. Road to California. And those videos are really short and sweet. Nice and quick. Okay, let's press this open and then I'll show you my finished little block. Are you excited? Do you want to see it? Gosh, it's little. And then I'll have to measure it and see how accurate. Okay. All right. So here's my teeny tiny little block. Let's see what she measures. It's not as square as I'd like to see. It's a hair under 3.5 that way. And it is a hair under 3.5 that way, except it's a hair over there. Not too bad, right? Not too shabby. Okay, so someone was asking, what do fork pins look like? And fork pins are just a U-shaped pin. How's that? Could it be better? What is an auction? So that's the fork pin. When I use those, I am using them. I won't put double layer, but you can see when I put it on my piecing, it goes like this on either side of a seam. But of course I would have a second piece of fabric on top, and then it just holds everything together beautifully. It gives me really great accuracy. As you can see, I mean, this was glue and pins, but pretty bang on. Laid on purple, yes. The pin itself. Does it? But you can check those out on the website, sparrowquiltco.com, the clover fork pins. And don't forget the Acorn Precision Piecing System. Both very valuable tools to improve your accuracy. Now, thank you, Stephanie, for mentioning the auction. We are having an auction on Friday night. So what's that? What did I say? We won't be here Friday. I'm a liar. It's going to be Thursday evening at 7 p.m., okay? So it's called a reverse auction. I'm going to show you beautiful fabrics and talk about them, and I will set them aside. And then you can go and purchase them, or you can wait 10 minutes and the price is going to drop. But of course, once the price starts to drop, the competition gets a little more fierce and it gets a little harder to buy the things that you're after. So that's how our auction works. It's a reverse auction. So join us on Thursday night at 7 p.m. We will be having some Christmas fabrics in there. We'll have some flannels in there. We'll have some of the stuff you've seen in the past. We got a whole bunch of goodies that are coming really, really soon. Sure. So there's my miniaturized, and there's my full-sized. Which way? Good. All right. So what's your preference? The big one or the small one? Hopefully you've already gotten your pattern for this. If not, visit us at sparrowquiltco.com. You're going to look for the 50 blocks in 50 weeks banner, and you're going to put in your name and email address, and we will email this pattern to you in a PDF format. We will continue to do this every Wednesday for the next 50 weeks, 10:30 a.m. here on our Facebook page. We will continue making 50 blocks out of the beautiful Paintbrush Studios solid fabrics. They are absolutely fantastic. If you're interested in purchasing the block kit, you can find it at sparrowquiltco.com, Road to California block kit. If you want the entire quilt like you see here, you can order that on the website as well. It is the Road to Cali quilt kit on the website. Please check out our prior videos on YouTube. You can see all our miniaturized versions, or like the quick and dirty version of Quilt Block Studio, where we just do the block really fast, really simple, really straightforward. If that's more how you roll, then you're welcome to check that out. All right, everybody. I hope you had fun today. I sure did. Oh, I need a winner. I need a winner. So the winner is going to receive this quilt. Yes, you can watch this video again at any time. It will live here on Facebook. It will be added to our YouTube channel, and you'll also be able to find it on our website, sparrowquiltco.com. All right, my winner is Willie Mae Beal. Congratulations, Willie Mae. Everybody say congratulations to Willie. Willie, please send us a private message here on the Facebook page, not on this video, but a private message. Include your email address, your shipping address, and your phone number, and we will get this kit in the mail to you, okay? Thanks for watching, everybody. Thanks for sharing. It was fun. It always is. I will see you guys on Thursday night for the auction at 7 o'clock, okay? Take care, everybody. I'm going to go dig up some food. Or I can just eat my Reese's Pieces. I really don't need this chocolate before lunch, but